Hello, this is the first episode of the Halos Zone podcast. I'm Curtis. I'm also known as Team Otani on Twitter. Follow me if you want to just like live reactions to stuff and all that. This is I've been wanting to do a podcast or something for the longest time, but I'm finally starting it up. I have everything that I need to like kind of make just the product of it like decent. Like the mic, the webcam, all that. But basically, we're just gonna be talking about the Halos. Man, I love that. I love the Angels. I love baseball. I love all that. So again, we're just gonna do this as a hobby, just for fun, because I love to do it. I love talking about it, and hopefully, I can find more people to talk about it with because that's what I love to do. But on here, we're basically I don't know how often I'll do like how many episodes or whatever I'm gonna make. I might not even like post this one or whatever. I'm just trying to like test everything out. We'll see if it goes well, then we'll post it. If not, we won't. Like I'm feeling everything out, I'm trying to get it well enough to where I like it and I enjoy it, and I think other people will too. But we'll see. But let's just hop into it. Let's talk about team. We're gonna recap the series against the Yankees, the 3-game series that just went down. Obviously today's game got postponed due to rain. I don't know why New York, you're stupid. Why are we raining? Why is it raining in July? It should be sunny outside. And I get it. California people spoiled because sun, all that, but come on. Like, don't rain in July, whatever. But we're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about, obviously, last night's huge win. We'll talk about Monday, the win they got. Tuesday, obviously, the tough loss after the bad pitching outing. And again, they didn't pitch well yesterday. Well, Otani didn't. The bullpen was solid. But we'll talk about all that. We're going to just get into like some news and updates that we found out over the past couple of days about like what just like some changes, maybe when we expect to see Justin Upton back in the lineup. And then we're going to talk about the upcoming series against the Baltimore Orioles, which is a big series for the Angels as they try to climb back towards 500 and try to gain some ground before the All-Star break and the trade deadline coming up at the end of the month. So let's jump right into it. Obviously, the Angels, they took 2 of 3 versus the Yankees this week. They won on Monday, lost on Tuesday, won yesterday in grand fashion. We'll get into all of that. But I think we have to start with Shohei Ohtani. He's amazing. Like that's just how it is. He's insane. He pitched really bad yesterday, so that's something that we're gonna need. Hopefully that's just a one-time thing. He didn't have his command. Again, Glaber got a cheap little hit off him, and then he got charged with 3 more runs because DJ LeMahieu just slapped one down the right field line for 3 when he came out of the game. But at the plate, I thought he had a great series, even though he hit 3 home runs. Those were his only 3 hits. He went 3 for 11, hit 3 homers, drove in 4 runs. He also just missed a couple other homers, again, in both games. He had balls to like the track, or he just got under pitches. So, he's just incredible. I love watching him play. He's my favorite player I've ever watched. And again, I've watched Mike Trout for so many years. I watched so many other great players, and just he's different. He's just a different animal. It's fun to watch him just kind of like reshape history in baseball because no one ever really expected someone ever. Like, I didn't. Before, like, I even heard about him, I was like, there's no way someone could. Like, you'd hear about Zach Greinke or Madison Bumgarner hit 3 homers a year and hit 200, and you would think that was impressive because they're pitchers. But this guy, he's redefining everything. He leads the league in homers. He's still a great pitcher, even though he struggled on Wednesday. He's incredible. I love watching him play. He had a really nice series in New York, despite the tough pitching start. Also, shout out to Jose Iglesias. We'll talk about him a little bit. He had a really nice series versus the Yankees. Had 7 hits, went 7 for 13, and again, Jose Iglesias. He's not a guy that's going to walk a ton or at all. He has like 7 walks on the entire season. I know he's missed some time, but still, with the amount of plate appearances he's had, 7 walks is kind of that's just, you need more than that. But he's just not that type of player. He's not the type of guy that's going to walk a ton. So when you need him to have like 7-hit series if you're gonna have a big series, and he did. Obviously, he had that big double on Monday to add on to the lead, make it 5-3 in the 8th inning. That the Angels were able to close out. He hit that home run on Tuesday that initially gave them the lead. And again, 7 hits in 3 games, even if they're 7 singles, that's really nice. And 13 at bats, you're getting on base at a over 500 clip, even if you aren't walking. I'm perfectly fine with that. And he also made a great play on Monday. He had a really nice series. Anthony Rendon, he had a solid series. He's slowly and surely getting back to the Anthony Rendon that we all know. He went 3 for 9. He had a couple of doubles. But the big thing is he walked 5 times. And that's a big thing with Rendon. Rendon needs to walk a lot because, well, he doesn't need walk a lot, but like that's part of his game. He's a guy that he can walk. He can have his OVP 100 points above his batting average. He's that type of player, and again, when he's walking a lot, it shows he's seeing the baseball really well. And again, 5 walks in 14 plate appearances. You're walking 36% of the time. That's, again, you can't ask for much more. Along with 3 hits, he had 2 doubles. Again, the power hasn't been there. He's only hit 5 homers. Again, he's missed some time, but you aren't paying a guy $35 million a year to have 5 home runs in June. But again, he's getting back going. No one should be giving up on Anthony Rendon. And again, I see people on Twitter say crazy things about him, calling him Pool 2.0, and I get it. He's had a tough year, but again, he was good in 2020, even though he got off to a really slow start in 2020. He's been hurt this year. He's finally starting to get back to that Anthony Rendon that we know that he can be. That guy who is an all-star caliber player, a guy that lots of people before the start of the season were saying he was the best third baseman in baseball, and I still think he can be that type of player. It's just he needs to get going. He needs to put the slow start behind him. We still got another 82 games to play. We need Anthony Rendon to have a huge second half if the Angels are going to do anything significant. Jared Walsh, I love you. I love Jared Walsh so much. I love Jared Walsh. He is I can't even explain it because all the years with Pujols, it seemed, again, Pujols, he gets a really bad rep by the fan base, which he kind of deserves with how he played after signing that huge contract. He really handicapped the Angels for a ton of years because he wasn't a good player. But to see Jared Walsh come up and play at such a high level at first base, play great defense, hit. And again, Jared Walsh hasn't even been playing well lately. Jared Walsh is in I think he has an 860 OPS in June, which is, we had an 860 OPS in June, which is good. Obviously, that's great. If your OPS is over 800, that's really good. But again, his on base was only 300. He was hitting 240. But that was his worst month of the year. But still, he just does. It's hard to explain because even when he's cold, you still trust. Oh, he's gonna go up there, and if it's a big spot, you trust him to hit something hard. With lots of guys, even when they get into a cold streak and they come up, and you're like, oh, like I don't know. He hasn't been playing well lately. Like again, I've had those things about guys like Anthony Rendon. I've even had those things with guys like Ohtani and Trout when they've had some really bad cold streaks over the years. I always trust Jared Walsh. And again, he went 4 for 13 in the series. He worked a walk, I think. He had 2 home runs. Both were yesterday. He also had that double in the first at bat of in his first at bat of the series that drove in Rendon. He drove in 6 runs, and obviously he hit the game tying grand slam versus Chapman in the ninth. That was the play of the night. That was again we know Gosselin walked, and then Fletcher got the hit, and then after Iggy struck out, Rengifo got the big RBI 2-run single, and then Ward had an RBI double. But I think without that grand slam, I just don't like. Even if he hits a single and it's 8-6 and it's first and third, I don't know if the Angels would have came back, because it's still 8-6. The game isn't, again, you're still like, okay, let's get 2 outs and let's go home if you're the Yankees. But he hits that grand slam. It's 8-8. You're like, man, we can't win it here. We have to go up and hit again. That just shocked everybody in the building, including the Yankees. So I love Jared Walsh. Like that's all I can say. Game time grand slam. He had big hits all series. He's had big hits all year. He's probably been the clutchest hitter on the Angels this season, and that's been huge. Also, let's shout out Juan Lagares. Let's shout out Taylor Ward. They both had productive series at the plate. Juan Lagares, he had an RBI double. He had a home run on Monday. I think he went 4 for 12 on the series. So, man, good for him. Or did he go? Did he play all 3 games? Or did he sit on Tuesday? I'm not sure. But then Taylor Ward, he was off on Monday. He played Tuesday, Wednesday. He had 2 hits in the series. He also worked the walk that got things going in the ninth that set up the Jared Walsh grand slam and then the comeback. But again, shout out to those 2. Juan Lagares have been playing a lot better lately. Taylor Ward has had a really nice season, despite what some people on Twitter say about him. But whatever. I like Taylor Ward. So yeah, that's that. I thought the offense played really well this series. They're the reason they won the series because the pitching really struggled. But shout out to the offense. They're going to need more of that for the rest of the year. They've been one of the best offenses in baseball, and they haven't had Anthony Rendon hasn't been himself all year, and they haven't had Mike Trout for such a long time, and they're still one of the best offenses in the league. So shout out to the Angels, and shout out Jeremy Reed, shout out all the coaches that are helping the hitters out, because again, despite the injuries and all that, they lost Dexter Fowler. Obviously, Trout's been out. Rendon's missed time. Max Stassi's missed time, and they've still been one of the best offenses in baseball. As for the pitching, let's get into the tough part, because we don't like talking about the pitching, well, especially when it's bad. When it's good, it's fine. We like talking about the pitching when it's good, obviously, but when the pitching's bad, it's just it sucks. Because I want nothing more than they just to have a solid pitching. And again, they haven't been terrible this year. They've been really unlucky, which is made them give up a lot of runs, have a high team ERA, even though their advanced numbers are really good. But this series versus the Yankees, the starting pitching was terrible. It was awful. They went 5 1/3. They got 16 outs all series from the starters, and they gave up 16 runs. So they had a starting pitching ERA this series of 9. That's terrible, and they averaged from their starters less than 2 innings a start. Their longest start of the series was Andrew Heaney's 3 inning outing where he gave up 7 and the Angels lost the game. That it was really bad from the starters. And again, you can't really blame Bundy too much. But you kind of can because Bundy's been bad all year. But again, like the thing with the heat he threw up, that's just tough. And then he came in on Wednesday. He pitched really well with the rain delays and all that. Show his short start. He pitched really well. And again, he got moved to the bullpen. Maybe he kind of figures himself out and he becomes a valuable piece for this team going down the stretch. But yeah. 5 1/3, 16 runs, 4 homers. They walked 8 guys. 4 of those were Shohei, 4 of those were Heaney, and they only struck out 5 guys. That need to be better. Need to be better from the rotation going forward. You can't have series like that. Again, having starting pitching like that and winning 2 or 3, that never happens. So, like, good for them because they had a good, they won 2 or 3, but the starters need to be better. And again, Heaney, we know he's inconsistent, but he's going to move to the bullpen. Ohtani's going to be better. Ohtani, he's an ace level pitcher. He's not going to struggle for like that rarely ever. He's usually going to be really dominant, but he had a bad game, so it's whatever. The best outing of the series, though, it was Jose Suarez on Monday. After Bundy went down with a heat exhaustion, he threw it behind the mound. Jose Suarez came in and he really kept the Angels in that game because at that point it looked like they were going to lose. They scored 2 in the first. They give both back, 1 in the first, 1 in the second. It's 2-2. They have a runner scoring position with 2 outs for DJ LeMahieu. Bundy struggled all game, and then he throws up, he comes out, Suarez comes in, and he was great. 5 1/3 is what he went. He pitched until the end of the 7th. He only gave up 2 hits. He only allowed 1 run. It was a home run. He gave up to Giancarlo Stanton. He only walked 1 guy. He had 5 Ks. Lots of clean innings, lots of 1-2-3s. And that's what you need when you have a starter that struggles. You need a guy that can come in and really do well. But the other thing is, Suarez is now going to the rotation. You need guys like that in the rotation. He earned that. Again, his ERA on the year is under 2. Again, his advanced numbers, his FIP, his xFIP, his Sierra, they're all in the 3s. But again, that's really good. Again, it may be double his ERA, but that's still really good. And that's still he's still a starting worthy pitcher. It's like last year with Dallas Keuchel, his ERA was below 2, and he wasn't that good. But still, Dallas Keuchel is a major league starting pitcher, and he's a solid major league starting pitcher. And again, if Suarez can keep this up, can really turn into a guy that can be a starter for this team, that's huge. That is huge for the Angels. They need that. They need a guy like that. They got that. Again, Patrick Sandoval's turning into that, and now Jose Suarez. That's huge for them. But again, outside of that, the bullpen. Again, when I was looking up the numbers, I took out Suarez's outing because he was kind of it's kind of like with the Rays when you look at their bullpen. It sucks because sometimes you look at their bulk guy is out of their pen because they had the opener. So I took out Suarez from the bullpen stats, and I took that out, and then I just did the rest. So they went 15 1/3 as a unit. They gave up 5 runs. They walked 10. They struck out 14. So a super solid outing from the bullpen. The one problem was, and it's been a problem all year, it was the inherited runners. 5 of the 9 inherited runners that the Angels bullpen inherited ended up scoring. Again, I know what Hoyt gave up 1. Sligers gave up 3. I forgot who gave up the other one. But yeah, that like you can't again, if you're inheriting 9 runners, you can't let 5 of them score. That's unacceptable. And that's been the problem with the Angels bullpen throughout the entire season. They just need to be better in those type of situations. And again, they just don't have the guys that can come in and with guys on base and get outs, because that's been a big problem with the Angels bullpen this season. Is again, they have lots of clean innings, but when they don't, it's a lot of runs. They don't do well with guys on base. They don't leave guys on base a lot. They need to be better at that. But overall, when we look at the Yankee series, we won 2 out of 3. We went 3-3 on the road trip when we had to go to Tampa Bay and New York. Overall, that's fine. Again, you need to start winning series consistently if they want to be contending later on in the season and have a chance come August and September to be doing something, as opposed to just kind of playing games just because you have to. But again, I can't complain with 3-3 playing teams like the Rays and the Yankees, because the Rays are really good. They went to the World Series last year. I get they lost some pieces but they're still a great team. The Rays are still really good. And again, the Yankees, they've had a bad year. They're 41-39. They're 2 games ahead of us. But the Yankees still have a ton of talent. Again, we got lucky we missed Garrett Cole. That's huge. I did not want to face Garrett Cole. But overall, the Yankees, they have talent. They have a lot of talent on that team. They have a lot of talent in that offense. They have their pitching's been really good this year. And the Angels, they took 2 out of 3 in their house. And again, obviously that could turn into they split 2 of 4 or they won 3 of 4 when they make up the game on August 16th. But until then, they won 2 out of 3 in New York. That's huge. So now, let's get into some news and updates. Let's kind of talk about standings, looking at that fiasco and where the Angels sit right now. They head into the weekend at 39-41. They're 4th in the AL West. Around halfway through the season. After Friday's game, they will be officially halfway through the year. Overall, they've kind of been disappointing, because if you think about it, they've showed flashes of being a really good team, but they've also just gone through some ruts where they're just not good at all. So it's really tough to kind of assess where we can think this team's gonna go. Obviously, they could surprise us all, and they could get really hot and then make a play at the playoffs, or they could do what they usually do, and they could get into a cold streak, and some injuries pile up, and they kind of just roll over and give up. So hopefully it's the former. Hopefully they can get hot going into the break, stay hot out of the break with Trout coming back, and they make a run, and maybe they buy at the deadline, get a piece or two. Who knows? But they got some work to do. Because again, they're 8.5 behind Houston right now for the lead in the division. Houston's playing right now. They're playing the Indians. I'm gonna check the score real quick. They have a 5-2 lead going into the top. No, they have a 6-2 lead headed into the top of the 7th over Cleveland. So if Houston holds on to that, then their division lead will go to 9 games. Oakland, they have the second wild card right now. They have a 7.5 game lead over the Angels. They're off tonight, so that will stay put going into the weekend. So, again, the Angels, they have a lot of work to do. It's at the point where there's so many teams in front of them, and they have so much room to make up. You can't really scoreboard watch. They just got to win. again, like, does it help if they win and Seattle loses and Oakland loses and Toronto loses and the Yankees lose and the Tampa Bay loses and Boston loses and all those teams? Obviously, it helps. But also, you just got to win games and you got to just get back in it because they aren't in it right now. When you're 8 back with 80 games left, you aren't in it. It's just like you're out of it until you get back in it. And again, maybe if they get hot, they can maybe get themselves back into the race. But right now, that's what they need to do. They need to get hot. They have 9 games left before the All-Star break. They have 6 at home, 3 on the road. 3 of the games, well, they open up a 3-game series with the Baltimore Orioles tomorrow. They play 3 versus Boston. After that, this upcoming week, and then they go to Seattle for 3 more next weekend to finish off the first half before the All-Star break, and then they go to the break and all that. Just some updates, some news. The Angels, they could be getting Justin Upton back as soon as Saturday from his back tightness, strain, whatever. He's missed some time recently due to that. He got put on the IL. That'd be a huge addition back to the ball club. Again, when he got moved to the leadoff spot, he became one of the best hitters on the team. And the Angels have really missed his bat, even though they have been able to score some runs, but that's just because they have a lot of good offensive players. But getting him back would be huge because they need his bat back in the lineup. They're paying a lot of money for it. They need him to, and again, he was really good out of the leadoff spot. He was getting on base a lot. He was setting up Ohtani. He was setting up Rendon. He was setting up Jared Walsh. You need that bat in there. But I don't know. They need his bat back in the lineup. They need him to get back hot and going if they're going to want to make a run. We kind of already talked about this, but Joe Maddon officially said that Jose Suarez will move into the starting rotation, and his first start will be this Monday versus the Boston Red Sox. And they have officially moved Dylan Bundy to the bullpen. So, this is something I've been calling for a long time. I didn't think they'd move Bundy to the bullpen. I thought they put him on the IL because he did have that ankle thing in Seattle, and he's been really bad since. But also, he looked good out of the bullpen yesterday. So maybe this is just a really good decision. Maybe he figures some stuff out of the bullpen. And also Suarez does his thing that he's been doing all year, and everything works out. That's what you have to hope for. But again, they have him. It's weird. They have Bundy in the bullpen. They have Quintana in the bullpen. It's just like, oh, okay. It's interesting. Like, that's all I can really say. And it will be interesting to see how they use Bundy, because they've used Quintana as just a one-inning guy. So, are they gonna keep Bundy stretched out and maybe use him as like, oh, a starter struggles and then Bundy piggybacks him? Or do they use him as a one-inning guy? Maybe they use him in some big spots. I don't know. But that'll be interesting. I think it's going to depend on how he pitches in his first few starts out of the bullpen. But we'll see. Again, only Joe Maddon knows the answer to that. And then finally, I saw this on Twitter, and someone screenshotted a mock draft from MLB Pipeline by Jonathan Mayo, who works MLB Pipeline. He's a prospect draft guy for MLB.com. And in his recent mock draft, he has the Angels taking Ty Madden, a starter from University of Texas. And again, we could get into all the draft stuff, but I don't really want to, so we'll just move on from that. But again, I would really like the pick if they did end up with Ty Madden. But the big thing I do want to talk about is he said that the Angels are leaning towards taking a college pitcher at 9 on the draft. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday. And that would be interesting. That'd be a really interesting, like, that's what I think they should do. And again, they should have some options at 9 when it comes to college pitchers. Again, Jack Leiter probably won't be there, but again, they could end up with Ty Madden. They can end up with Kumar Rocker, which that would be a slam dunk. Like, take him if he's at 9. They can end up with Sam Bachman from the University of Miami, Ohio. There's Jordan Wicks from Kansas State. They're gonna have some options at 9. But again, I think that's what I think they should do. Obviously, if there's a huge value like a Henry Davis or a Khalil Watson, and they love one of those guys, then maybe you do that, or maybe like one of those top shortstop falls like Lawler or Marcelo Mayer. But again, that's super unlikely. That probably will not happen. It pretty much definitely won't happen. There's no way either of those guys gets to 9. It's kind of like a Jack Leiter thing. It's just, again, there's not like a guaranteed number 1 guy, but there's a bunch of guys that you're like, yeah, that guy's going to go top 5. And there's lots of guys like that you're like, oh yeah, they're going to go top 10, which is why I think the Angels are in a really good spot at 9, because they can kind of just see how the draft pans out, and they can just pick the guy that is highest on their board. But if they do go college pitcher, I think that would be really ideal. I think that really fits their time window the best out of anything. Again, we know the Angels need pitching. They need it pretty badly. But again, they're building a really good young core of pitchers. They obviously with Griffin Canning, with Patrick Sandoval, with Jose Suarez. They took Reed Detmers last year. We saw what Chris Rodriguez could do at the big league level, and he hit with what 9 innings pitched in A ball. That's so they have some young pieces in the rotation that could turn into something. But again, add as much depth to that position. Try to build a young, fun rotation that can take this team to the next level. And again, pitching in general, because if a guy isn't working in the rotation, or you have too many guys in the rotation, you can put people in the bullpen. These are young guys. Obviously, they want to start games, especially if they're drafted as starters. They were starters in college. But at the end of the day, I'd rather be pitching in the bullpen in the majors than starting games at AAA waiting for an opportunity. So that's my opinion. Again, guys will go to the bullpen. We saw Jose Quintana, Dylan Bundy. They say, fine, I'll go to the bullpen. And again, maybe that's more due to a job security thing, trying to just stay on the team. But again, young guys, they aren't going to not go to the big leagues just because they want to start. So now let's get into the Orioles series. I feel like this is a bigger series than lots of people think. They just need to win this series. And they might need to sweep this one. This one's big, especially with Boston and Seattle coming up. Obviously Boston, they might have the best record in the American League. I'm not sure if that's exactly true. I think it is. They're like 51-31 or something. They've been really good. They beat the Angels 2-3 in Fenway earlier in the season. And then Seattle to end out the All-Star break. The Angels, they always for some reason they can't beat Seattle. I don't know what it is, but they usually struggle against them. And Seattle's been playing really well lately. They won a series versus the White Sox. They recently won a series versus the Blue Jays. They won a series versus the Rays. They've recently won a lot of series versus good teams. So their advanced numbers don't look good as a team. They look like a team that's going to regress. But again, they just keep winning games. And those are teams that I don't really like to play, teams that just find ways to win. That can be frustrating. And again, they're young. They taste the blood of winning, and they want more of it. So again, I think they should take like 2 out of 3 versus Seattle in Seattle, but You just never know with a team that's hot and a team like the Angels that they usually find a way to lose more than they find a way to win. Let's talk about the Orioles. Um, Again, no one really talks about the Orioles because there's no real reason to talk about Baltimore because they're Baltimore. But they did just come off a 3-game sweep of the Houston Astros in Houston, which is actually really, really impressive. Um, but prior to that, they were 2-16 in their last 18 before they swept Houston. So again, yes, they could beat you, but also you got to beat. They're very beatable. They have one of the worst records in the league. They should get. We should be able to win 2 out of 3 without a doubt. And again, this is a series. The Angels probably should walk away with a sweep, but we'll see. We kind of want to look at the numbers from Baltimore. They're 17th in the league as a team in weighted runs created. Plus, they're 10th in the American League, and that's that. They are 24th in the league in on base percentage. They're tied for 17th in the league in xWOBA, or was it xWOBA or whatever. And then they're 18th in the league in home runs. So offensively, as a team, they're pretty average to below average. They can hit a bit, but also they just aren't. They can hit a bit, but also they aren't like an elite lineup. But we do need to talk about Cedric Mullins because he is a problem. Cedric Mullins can play. He has a 391 on base percentage on the season. He has a 550 slug, 942 OPS. He has a 401 WOBA. He has a 156 weighted runs created plus. He's gonna be an all-star. He was in the top 9 for outfielders and voting. I think he's 5th or 6th out of the top 9 in phase 2. But again, he can play. He's fast. He can hit. Again, he kind of finally put everything together this season, and he's been really good. He's been the best player on the Orioles this season. Again, I looked at their offensive WAR on Fangraphs, and I think his F4 was like 3.7, and the Orioles like hitters total, their F4 was 5.7. So he's insane. He's having a great year for the Orioles, and he's the guy. He's the guy that you have to watch out for on the Orioles. And they still have some other players that can hit. Jerry Mancini, he's a problem. He's gonna be in the home run derby. So that should show you he has a lot of pop. Ryan Mountcastle, another guy, has a lot of pop. He's been hot lately. He had a really good series with Houston Astros. And then Austin Hayes, their center fielder, he's been playing really well lately. He missed some time earlier in the year, but I'm pretty sure he's back. He's not on the IL or anything because the 2 guys they have on the IL, I saw they have John Means and Freddie Galvis. So let's look. I'm gonna look at his game logs, kind of see what he's up to. But yeah, those are the 3 guys along with Cedric Mullins that I would be looking out for if I was Matt Wise and the Angels pitchers coming into this series. Yeah, Austin Hayes 249, 8 homers, 26 RBIs, has 741 OPS. Yeah, he's healthy. 393 batting average. His last 7 games, 414 on base, 643 slug. So he's been hot lately too. So that's going to be another guy to watch out for. But again, Freddie Galvis is on the IL. I think they have Ramon Urias replacing him, and he's had a solid season when he's played. And John Means is on the IL. He's been on the IL since like the start of June, I think. Again, John Means has had a great year. Obviously, threw that no-hitter against the Mariners. They're lucky they don't have to face him because that's like the one guy on the Orioles in their rotation. Obviously, they have some bullpen guys that can pitch, but He's the one starter that I would fear facing. And again, if we look at their pitching, they have the worst ERA in the league, the worst team ERA at 5.44. And they're tied for the worst FIP in the league with the Diamondbacks and the Twins at 4.79. And but their 4.25 xFIP is 26th in the league. It's 13th in the American League. They're 19th in the MLB in Ks per nine. They're 23rd in the MLB in walks per nine, and they're 29th in the league in home runs per nine. So that's where you have to get them. This is a team you have to score crooked numbers on, because again, they're gonna put up some runs. They're gonna score, especially with the Angels pitching staff that isn't a strong suit. They're gonna be able to score some runs. They just got to put up some crooked numbers this series. Looking at the projected pitching matchups that they're going to face, they're going to see Keegan Akin tomorrow. Yeah, he has an ERA at 7.11 on the year, but his advanced numbers do look a little bit better. But even his advanced numbers, like again, his FIP, his xFIP, they're in the high fours. So that's a guy that they should be able to hit. Jorge Lopez on the year, he's 2-10. He has a 5.92 ERA. His FIP's high, his xFIP's decent. But again, they should be able to hop on him. And then Thomas Eshelman has he's 0-1. He has a 6.57 ERA. He's pitched 12 innings. He's been really bad in those 12 innings. So that's something that the Angels, they're going to have to hit this series. Again, the Orioles bullpen, it's a little bit better than their rotation. Again, they have some guys down there. They have Tanner Scott. They have Paul Fry. They have some, what's his name? Sussler? I think he's in their pen too. They have some guys down there that are just solid. So you got to get to their starters. You got to get on them early, and you got to score some runs. If we look at the projected pitching matchups of this series, on Friday, Griffin Canning will take the ball for the Angels, opposed by Orioles starter Keegan Akin. On Saturday, Alex Cobb will face his former team for the first time ever since he was traded here. And again, he'll take on Jorge Lopez. Then on Sunday, we'll see Patrick Sandoval taking on Thomas Eshelman. So this should be a fun one. I think there's lots of things that the Angels should be able to take advantage of in this series. I think they're the better team. They're playing one of the worst teams in the league. They're at home, where they're 21-19 on the year. They should be able to win some games here. I think they should be able to sweep this series. But again, it's baseball. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. So they gotta get 2-3. That's important. They can't drop this series if they want to be playing competitive baseball down the line. And by competitive, I mean like competing in the standings. Again, they'll have some games in September where they beat Houston, and it's like, oh, that was competitive. But by competitive, I mean like competitive in the standings. So now, let's look at some keys to victory in this series versus the Baltimore Orioles. My first key is you got to get ahead of this team early. When I looked at some of the games they played versus Houston, that they beat Houston, and in all three games they scored first and they led the majority of the game. They were up on Houston the entire series. That's something that you can't do against a bad team, because bad teams, even though they do blow games because they aren't good, but when they get ahead, they think, hey, we got a shot here. Let's try to win this game. But when you get on them and you get a lead, and you get a fairly big lead, teams like that, they're like, well, they're used to losing, so they're like, you know what, we're going to lose this, so let's pack it up. Obviously, that's not what they're like mentally thinking, but in the back of their mind, they're like, yeah, we aren't winning this one, so let's just focus on tomorrow, you know? My next thing, and this is important, and this is just something any series, any game that the Angels really need to work on and they really need to improve at. Length from their starters. Griffin Canning, Alex Cobb, Patrick Sandoval. They need length from these guys. The Angels, their bullpen has been killed with how much they use their bullpen guys. They have to use their bullpen way too much. They average less than 2 innings to start in the Yankee series. That's unacceptable. They need to get some length out of their starters. They need a good outing from Canning. They need a good outing from Cobb, and they need a good outing from Patrick Sandoval. They need to pitch well this series. Those three. They need to build some momentum, and they need to give the bullpen a rest. That's huge, and that's something that the Angels they just need to do throughout the rest of the year. They can't be having 2, 3 in a third inning starts. That's unacceptable. Their guys need to be getting 5, 6, 7 a night. That just has to happen. It has to. Next, on the offensive side, when it comes to the bats, everybody's got to contribute. Everybody's got to eat. That's something they did versus the Yankees. Everyone was hitting. The bottom part of the order was contributing along with the top half. Everybody's got to hit. When you're facing a team that is this bad pitching-wise, you need to be able to have all parts of your lineup hit. You need to go into every inning thinking you're going to score. You can't be like, oh, well, 6, 7, 8 are up. We're just like, hopefully they get like, hopefully someone gets on. Like, you need to go into every inning putting up some base runners. Obviously, you're not going to score every single inning, but man, don't have the 1, 2, 3s. Man, have guys get on. Man, have guys get on. Get some runs early on in the game from both halves of your lineup, and just keep it going. Keep scoring runs. You got to keep putting runs on this team, because if you go up big versus Baltimore, they aren't gonna have a chance. If they score runs against this Orioles team, they're gonna win this series pretty easily, and they're gonna do their thing. Next is patience at the plate. They got to be patient this series. Angels, they have one of the worst walk rates in baseball. But if you look at Baltimore, they're 23rd in the league. They're 12th in the American League in walks per nine. So they walk a lot of guys. So do the Angels, but they walk a lot of people. The Angels, they need to be patient at the plate. They need to work walks, get on base, set up some rallies. Again, you look at what happened on Wednesday. How did that rally start? Walk, fielder starts, walk. They worked 3 walks. Off a roll is Chapman. And then one big swing, the game's tied. And they just needed the one big swing and some patience at the plate to get there. So work walks, get on base, get some opportunities going with guys in scoring position, and come through in those opportunities. Next is the bullpen. They can't be blowing games this series. And again, they can't blow games any series, but especially this series. Again, when you're playing a team as bad as the Orioles, you need your bullpen to look dominant for them. And again, I get it. They're a decent team offensively, but still, you gotta they can't be scoring off the bullpen. They need, and again, I trust Rysel. Rysel's going to do his thing if he gets into the game, safe situation, whatever. But guys like Mike Myers, guys like Tony Watson, guys like Steve Cishek, guys that are probably going to be put in high leverage situations later in the game, which, as much as we hate to admit it, those are the high leverage guys on the team. The non-save situation, high leverage guys in the game, pre-9th inning, it's always going to be Mike Myers, Tony Watson, Steve Cishek. And that's more of a roster construction problem than anything. But They need those guys to not blow games, to put up zeros, to not give up base runners, and to hold leads. Give Rysel the ball with a lead, and they're gonna win. That's just how it is. If you give Rysel the ball with a lead, the Angels are gonna win a ton. They're gonna win all the time. They're going to win a ton of games if they can just get Rysel the ball with the lead. Okay, Duke. Okay. Sorry about that. And then finally, my last key is they got to shut down their bad bats. Again, as much as you hate to admit it, guys like Cedric Mullins, guys like Trey Mancini, guys like Ryan Mountcastle, Austin Hayes, they're gonna put in work. They're gonna get on base. They're gonna shoot some gaps. They're gonna get some big hits. They're gonna score some runs. They're gonna drive in some runs. Yada yada yada. But if they can contain the Pedro Severinos, the Domingo Lebas, the Pat Valaikas, the Ryan McKennas, the Maikel Francos, they're going to be fine. Because if you are making those guys do all the damage, you're going to be fine. They can't be having Pedro Severino go 3 for 5 with 2 doubles and a homer. They can't have Maikel Franco have huge games. Like, they can't have Pat Valaika have like 4 singles and drive in 3 runs. Like, that just can't happen. They need to shut down their bad bats, contain the good ones, and they're going to be fine. But let's do a quick prediction on how this series is going to go. I think I want to be bold and pick a sweep, but it's tough to do that because, again, any team can beat anybody on any given game in baseball. That's just how it is. It's not like basketball where if the Nets play the Pistons, shout out Piston fans, but if the Nets play the Pistons, the Nets are going to win 95% of the time. If the Suns play the Timberwolves, the Suns are going to win almost every single time. And same with football. If the Packers play the Jets, they're going to beat them almost every single time. That's not the case in baseball. In baseball, again, the Dodgers could play the Orioles, and the Orioles can win the series. Again, we just saw the Orioles swept the Astros. So anything could happen. It's tough to predict sweeps. But we're going to be bold and predict the sweep. I think, again, the Angels, they're coming off a huge win versus the Yankees. Jared Walsh, game-tying grand slam. Luis Rengifo, huge 2-run single to give him the lead. Taylor Ward added another. Rysel came in, shut the door on 9 or 10 pitches. Struck out Roof Neto door. Had all the Yankee fans stay there till 1 o'clock just to watch their team blow it. That was awesome. But I think the momentum's on their side. They have a team that, again, they won 3 in a row. But before that, they were ice cold. They're at home where they played pretty well this year. Again, they have Cobb and Sandoval on the mound. Those 2 guys are pretty reliable, especially versus bad teams. They aren't facing any of the Orioles' good pitchers, and by Orioles' good pitchers, I mean John Means. Their offense it's been playing really well lately. I think they're going to pull out 3 in a row. I think one of them, they're going to have to pull something out of their ass and just figure out a way to win. And if they can do that, I think they're going to sweep the series. They're going to head into the Red Sox series at 42-41. They're going to be a game over 500, and maybe they gain some ground on Oakland. Who does Oakland play this weekend? Oakland plays Boston. So this is a prime time to gain ground on Oakland. And right now, that's the only team we're really focused on. Because to get to the second wild card, the Angels are gonna have to get second place in the division. They're gonna have to pass up Oakland or Houston. So I'm focused on Oakland. We got to catch Oakland, and if we can do that, we got a shot at the playoffs. But they got a lot of ground to make up. This weekend is a week that they can do that, and they got to win these games. Or Baltimore, a team they should beat almost every single time. But again, that's it. Audio wise, again, I'm gonna rewatch this and edit it, figure everything out. We're gonna attempt to, but yeah, we're just testing this out. We're gonna see how this is. Again, we'll see if this even gets posted. Hopefully, it does, because that means everything looked good, and sounded good, and we'll see. Obviously, follow me on Twitter at Team Otani. I also have a Twitter for the podcast, but I don't know if I'm going to be posting anything on there anytime soon. But again, hopefully I get a new one out on Monday or maybe Sunday night, where again, I'm kind of going to do the same thing during the year. We're going to kind of just recap some games. We're going to look at the upcoming series. We might do we'll check some standings, all that. We'll talk about some news and everything. Anyway, we'll just see where it goes from there. I'm going to try to keep up on this. Again, I'm just doing this as a hobby. I don't really care much about viewership or anything like that. Obviously, I'll shout it out on anything, because if anyone wants to see it, I'm going to let them know about it. But again, I'm not really going to care about that right now. Yeah, I'm just doing this for fun, talking about ball. So, yeah, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the Halo Zone podcast. And I will see you guys next time, hopefully on Sunday or Monday. And hopefully after the Angels sweep the Orioles, because that would be nice. But I will see you guys next time. See ya.